Hi folks, welcome to Greg's Workshop. I'm Greg, and today Jack and I are going to build a greenhouse. So I got up early this morning, I cut up all the pieces for the first wall, got them laid out, got the holes drilled. I won't bore you with that part because it's basically the same as building the shed. So I'll just put her on time lapse and get it put together. A few things to note here. First, I'm using 4x4s for the corner posts. That way we have a good 3.5 inches of bearing surface on either side for the walls. Also, I'm using 2x6s for the sill plate because that's the width of the foundation, and I put sill seal, little closed cell foam underneath the sill plates. Kind of a long process getting everything cut, drilled for the end walls. You can see there I attached sill seal to those as well. That top plate overlapped the long wall, the side wall, so I couldn't put it on top of the studs before I tipped that wall up. So I have the long wall up, we got the back wall up. There's not going to be any door in there. There's going to be a fan up high up here, but we'll worry about it after the rafters are on. Now I'm going to do the front wall. There's going to be a doorway right here. I'm basically going to frame it the same as I did before, just with the studs at different intervals to accommodate the door, and then we'll cut the door out from the top plate. My stack of rafters cut right there. Got some brackets. Got some brackets to go up here for the top of the rafters, and I have some brackets over there. So I'm going to get that laid out, get all those brackets up so the rafters have a place to go. Then I'll screw these into the top with one screw and then put the brackets on around them. Putting the rafters up actually went pretty quickly until right there where the wall, side wall separated from the shed. Then I had to jack up all the rafters and get them up higher so I could pull the wall in, and ended up using ratchet straps by the end. It was a real pain. And of course, the brackets. Kind of tedious, but important. Had to take a little break. Got kind of dizzy. Couldn't really think straight, so I went inside, had some juice and some water and some food. Now it's in the shade, so time to get back to work. Here I'm putting in the purlins, doing it a little bit differently than I did on the shed. The top row was cut and fitted in between all the rafters. For the middle two rows, I actually notched out the rafters and just put 2x4s across all the way. The battery died, so I'll show you what I accomplished. Got the rafters up, got the purlins in, got all the blocking for the roofing. I'm using plastic this time instead of the wood. It clicks together, it's more stable and better quality. Got some flashing up there. You can kind of see the clear at the bottom of that siding, and then of course the siding, all properly caulked, all ready to go. So I'm going to slide the pieces of roofing up underneath that flashing and start at this end so it overlaps in the proper direction for the wind. All right, let's go. This side went much smoother than the shed, partly because of my previous experience, partly because of the plastic blocking, and partly because it was 2 feet lower. Well, got a lot done. Not quite as much as I'd hoped. I'd hoped to have all the siding on. Didn't work out, ran out of light. In fact, we've got the floodlights on right now in the yard. So I've got it all framed up. Mostly I need to do some cross pieces, purlins I guess maybe is what they're called. Anyway, put those in the middle of the walls. I need to frame in the door, slide the whole thing. I'm out of siding screws anyway. Got a screen door or like a storm door to install. So it'll be a few days before I get a chance to get out here again, but today was great. It's a few days later. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. Got about 2 hours before this is in the shade, so I'm going to spend that 2 hours framing up all the rest of the framing for the door, for the vents, things like that. Then once it's in the shade, I'll get to siding. If I side it right now, it's going to get way too hot in there.
So hopefully today we'll have it done.
Okay, once and for all, purlins go in the roof between the rafters, girts go in the walls between the studs. Framing up this door was kind of a trick. I cut through the top plate and then put studs all the way up to the rafter. And then installing this door, I had to take it apart a bunch of times, but we got it done. Also, kind of cool watching the shadows move across, isn't it?
All right, got most of the framing done. Those two louvers on either side of the door are air intakes. I'll have some heat-activated actuators, I guess, to move those. Nice screen door, goes just right up to that rafter. I need to put in one more piece of wood right there along the corner of the shed. I've got all my girts in, I think is what they're called, the horizontal members halfway up the wall. Got a fan with that same louver. That doesn't need an actuator, just the power of the fan. Turn it on, we'll open that up. So that's going to be our ventilation. If we need more intake, the screen door opens up halfway. In fact, it's open right now. So next step is siding. So I'm going to use those filler strips on the bottom only to give a good seal down there. Otherwise, it's just going to be against the wood, the horizontal pieces of wood, and I'll put the screws on the low spot. So we'll get started. Just got the siding up a couple days ago. I didn't record that part because it was getting dark and I forgot. Anyway, I'll show you guys all that when it's done. One of my main purposes of this greenhouse for right now is why I'm doing it in the wintertime and now in the springtime is to get it ready to go for greenhouse season. It's March 25th right now. So next step, really the last thing I need to do to be able to just start seeds in here is to put a bench over here, not a bench rather, but a shelf. So I've got some wood, I've got some metal cattle panel that we're going to be using for the actual shelf surface to provide good ventilation and airflow and light and all that. So we'll get this stuff installed.
For almost this entire greenhouse, I'm using non-ground contact rated wood. It's right now about the same price as ground contact rated, but it doesn't have all those little divot lines in it. So I think it looks better. The exception is for the sill plates, those are ground contact, and the 4x4s in the corner are ground contact as well.
So I've got the framing all in. This is what we're going to use for the shelf material. It's a 2" by 4" roughly galvanized fence panel. The whole thing is 4 feet long, 5 feet wide. So what we're going to do is cut a bunch of strips in this fashion. So we can get them on the shelf. So 22 inches, I'm just going to use bolt cutters. Start at the top. Go to 22. And on down the line. And here's the finished product. Looks pretty good, fits well. Had to make a few adjustments, some trimming, no big deal. There's this open spot at the end. It's not really big enough to cut another piece of metal because it'll kind of waste a lot of the stuff around that piece. I'll just get a piece of plywood or a tub or something extra to fill in there. No big deal. So next, it's going to be building a similar bench on this side. Only difference is that there's going to be a solid potting bench with some tubs right in the middle. So we'll get started on that. Well, I didn't record building the potting bench. I only had a little bit of time. I wanted to get through it, get it done by 8:30 this morning, which is right now. So I'll show you what I got. I've got this nice, I don't know, we call it backsplash, I guess. Hang tools on here, a shelf here. There's corner braces there and another one up here that holds it a 5/8 of an inch roughly off of the wallboard. So there's good airflow back there so it won't, get wet and rot. Down here on the bench itself, more cedar. I've got it cut into 3 sections. I've got plastic bins under here. That'll catch any dirt that falls through the cracks, and also if you just need a bin for something, it's right there.
So all 3 sections lift up that same way. Kind of a tight fit. Things will probably dry out over the summer and it'll fit a little bit looser. Did the metal grating for the shelves again. Tack that down with just some 1/4-inch crown staples. Works just fine. So that's about it for the greenhouse. I'll probably put in a few more up high shelves or something, but really the next thing to do is just all the little detail stuff. I'm going to do the partition wall in the shed, shelves for storage bins and spare gas and fuel and power tools. I need to do the ventilation intakes on this when the parts arrive tomorrow. So I think I'll roll all that up into one last sort of odds and ends video, and then that'll be it for this project. The shed will be done, the greenhouse will be done, and we will be off to the races. Folks, if you enjoyed that video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to get notified of new videos every Saturday morning, leave a comment, that really helps with the algorithm, and I'll see you next week on Greg's Workshop.